Hey guys, it's Chris here. Welcome back to the Ultimate Recycler and part 25 of the Great Clean. Last episode we got the van more organised, we've got it accessible, I've released it from its shackles, being the big vine that was growing over the front of it. A few of you suggested it should have a bit of a wash. Now I've never been one for washing cars and I don't know that it's going to make it look a lot better, but I thought, yep, we'll give it a quick go. I'll get a bucket of hot water and a broom and just try and clean it up a little bit. I'm not going to go to too much trouble. In this episode, I want to try and drag the van back down the lane a little bit, and I want to advertise it. I thought I'd put 500 on it. Someone said that it's worth 1,000. You know, I'd be happy just to take 500, move it on quickly. Others said it's not worth anything. Mario said you should leave the mattress in it and sell it as a kit form camper van. And someone else, I think it was Katrina, said sell a lichen for $500 and throw the van in for free. So some great comments. But look, I'm going to try and get it out this episode. I want to make access to get the last of the drums of heavy steel behind it. I need to make access to get into the shipping container. There's a guy coming this week for all this scrap timber. So there's lots going on. Now this is part 25. As I'm talking now, it's Wednesday and I have 47 days to go. You will see this on Sunday and that'll be down to 42 days to go. So hopefully by this end of this episode, I've made a fair bit more room in the backyard. They are forecasting some showery weather for the remainder of this week, which isn't ideal, but I do have lots to do inside as well. So we'll just swing on to a different job. I haven't filmed much about what's going inside lately, what's going on, and I might take you in there next time. Christine's shop's looking really good. Mine's looking quite sparse, but there's still a lot of stuff in there. I still have some storeroom areas to clean up that I haven't really touched. The shipping container is still full to the top, and there's another garden shed that the doorway is pretty well a wall of stuff. So I need to get into some of those places as well. So it's just a matter of keep going. Thanks for everyone's support. I know there's a lot that have said you can do it and, you know, way to go and great attitude and don't listen to the naysayers. Even Christine's had a few doubts. You know, there's a lot to go, she said. I prefer not to think about that, and if I'm worrying about making a deadline now, it's just going to inhibit my thinking. It's going to cast a little bit of negativity around. I'd prefer to think that we can do it. I really want to maintain that positive attitude, and I think if you put positiveness out there, you reward it and things go right. So let's get into it. I'll go and get a bucket of water and we'll see if we can make the van look a little prettier. Okay, it's certainly going to look better, but yeah, it's not going to be a picture of pristine automobile history. You can see the lichen is actually sort of etched into the paint, but that's okay. We'll keep going. We'll give it a bit of a brush off. I don't want to spend too long on it, but probably half an hour, a quick scrub. I probably won't even do the top of the roof, and it will look a lot better and certainly photograph much better for an ad on Facebook. So curse all you guys that said I should wash the van. Yes, it does look better. I haven't done the front, I haven't done half the other side yet, but I've spent about an hour on it with a scouring brush and a broom for starters, and then a scraper to get the moss off or the lichen. Look, I've got a sore shoulder, I've got an achy back. I shouldn't be standing on a ladder. You know what they say about middle-aged men and ladders. Look, it does get better. I think what we've done, let's have a look at the back. I think what we've done is just made something that 99 out of 100 people would have said scrap metal, to now maybe 98 out of 100 people will say scrap metal. Look, first impressions are important. It might make a difference. So if someone's going to restore it, at least they can see that there's really no rust in it. It would have needed a new paint job anyway, so it doesn't matter where that lichen growth has been. All the rubbers, I had it. The glass is all good. So look, I don't know. I still think I should just put 500 on it and clear it off. Someone said it'd be worth at least $1,000, but look, I don't know. Maybe I'll advertise it at 1,000 and just see what happens. You know, I'd like to get some return for my sore shoulder. Still got to finish that side. I'm going to drag it back now, so I'm just clearing up these last few drums here, which are mainly just cast aluminium, and there's an old engine under this, what remains of that tarp. So I'll move that, I'll make the lane clear, I'll probably unhook the trailer off the ute and see if we can drag it backwards. I did find the keys, which is great, because then if the steering locks on a bit of an angle, well, I can stop it locking. So there we go. Yeah, it does look nice. I've left a big black stripe up the top where I didn't actually reach, so we'll call that a mohawk. Here we go. I've made some space down the lane. I've got the ute back down. I've got a ridiculously light chain. That's the only chain I could find, and I didn't find any D-shackles, so I've just put a bolt through it. Look, it's not like I'm towing this on the freeway. I think it'll be strong enough to drag it back. I really just want to get it to move. So we'll see how we go. I'll just very cautiously creep forward. I'd like to just drag it forward enough so that I can finish cleaning it. It's a bit hard for me to pull it out whilst there's no one steering it. Hopefully it tracks straight. If it does, I'll keep going down the driveway a little bit. If not, I might get Christine to help me soon. But if I can move it a little bit, I can then finish at least cleaning it, and then we'll probably get it out onto the nature strip and do the old classic for sale sign on the window and just see what happens. Well, the chain didn't break, and I just about reached the limit of my ute's pulling power. I'm thinking, now I did take the handbrake off and it is out of gear. It's possible that the brakes are frozen on, the handbrake. I might get a shovel and just dig away from each wheel, because the tyres are a little flat and they have nestled into the earth somewhat. So it may just help it roll, and if it starts to roll, it might release the brakes if they are seized. We'll see how we go. We'll try that first. Okay, let's try that again. I think we might be right now. I think the brakes may be seized on, the handbrake, but the wheels have rolled, so that's a good thing. Oh, this one's a little flat, a bit flatter than I thought it was. But anyway, I reckon we can get it down the lane a bit more. Well, we have movement, and there's a stack of timber that I had underneath it. It's actually kept the timber pretty dry. It's probably going to be absolutely laden with spiders and creepy crawlies. Now, I don't want to burn this stuff. I might, particularly the old lining boards, I might advertise a big stack of it, even for free, just so it gets used. I just don't want to burn good timber. Looks like there's been some mice living there, all sorts of things. And the van towed, it was a bit sort of lumpy, but I think because the tyres have pretty well got major flat spots and they're not very flexible after all these years. But I can tow it out, it's actually tracking nice and straight. So I might even keep going and tow it right out onto the edge of the road, perhaps. It's a side street, it's fairly quiet, so I don't think I'll interrupt any traffic. Look at the front of it, certainly needs a bit of love. But I'll actually finish washing it now, I think. I've got a little bit more to do on this side. And then I can take some photos and tow it back. Okay, the washing is complete. It took almost 2 hours to clean that van up. It's rather ironic that I never washed the thing when I drove it, and the only time I've ever washed it now is probably to send it off to the scrapyard. I don't know. Look, I think it would be a good restorer. The people that are going to be interested will know what to look for. I'm amazed, actually. This guttering that was full of leaves and it's been there under that tree for 10 years, I would expect to be a rusted, jagged sort of, yeah, and it wasn't. It's actually, there's no rust in the gutter at all. I can't see any real rust in the van. There's certainly some dents and scrapes, but everywhere where it looks nasty, it's actually the army green paint underneath. And other than areas where, like on the front where it's been stone chipped a lot, and even above the windscreen, it's back to the almost bare metal and just showing rusty colour, but it's still very, very solid. So I'm not sure if it was made for the army and they got extra super duper undercoat and top quality paint and it's just never rusted. I don't know. But anyway, there she is. I'm going to tow it out. I won't do it today. I'm running out of time today. I'll probably tow it out onto the nature strip and do some better photos and stick a sign in the window. And I might ask 1,000 and we'll see what happens. If anyone on my channel is interested and it's still available, $500 for you guys. No problems, I'll take that. Probably the only condition is obviously you're gonna have to be reasonably local, and I would like to film you picking it up, and if it's restored down the track, you got to show us all how she comes up. It's got a nice steel bull bar on the front, a couple of driving lights. I've got to take that other number plate off, and I was going to try and read the year of it. The rego sticker's here, and it's curled back down, and it was last registered in 2011, so 11 years ago. A quick peek in here, inside and upside down, 1987. So a 1987 Toyota HiAce van. Certainly needs some love. I've still got to get a few more things out of here, but it's got to go. It's done its time. It's been 10 plus years as a storage room, and I think I drove it for about 3 or 4 years, and she was a good driver. It used to run really well until something happened, and I don't really know what happened. The engine was running very poorly and it just got parked, and I had the opportunity to buy a Hilux Ute, which I've still got. So that's why she got parked. Okay, while you're watching me drag the van out on my own, I thought I'd do a bit of a voiceover and tell you how this episode finishes. So we got the van out, as you can see, just a little bit at a time. It wasn't worth going to get Christine to drive it because, to steer the van, because she's not a fan of spiders, and the van probably was hosting a few families of them. Anyway, I got it out. I had to keep going and adjusting the steering a little bit. As you can see, the plan was just to tow it backwards to one side and then swing the ute onto the front and tow it forwards onto the nature strip next door, and then throw it on Facebook. Now, alright, here's how the story ends. I put it on Facebook later this evening. This is on the Friday, and it did photograph pretty well with the paint all been cleaned up. So, I guess I've got to say, now that my shoulders settled down a bit, I've got to say thanks for suggesting I clean it up. I listed it on Marketplace and all the local trading groups for $1,000, and within half an hour I had 5 or 6 messages. My phone kept going bing every 5 minutes, and the first one I like to honour, who gets in first, was a bloke from Melbourne. In fact, I think they all were, and he had a truck and he could come and pick it up the very next day, and he was happy to pay $1,000 for it. So I thought, well, okay. And then all the others were offering to basically get it the same day, pay cash. One guy who was a bit obviously annoyed that he perhaps didn't get in first offered me $1,200, I think. But look, I honoured the first guy. He communicated well, and Facebook's renowned for people letting you down, and this guy seemed pretty genuine. So I gave him my phone number. He contacted me early the next morning, and by 8:15 Saturday morning, he was outside the shop with his tow truck, and I reckon within 10 minutes he had the thing loaded, winched it up onto the back of the truck. I got a little bit of footage here, I think, and then he's gone head off to Melbourne. So the van disappeared really within 20 minutes. $1,000 cash. Can't be unhappy with that. I did ask him what they're going to do with it, and he said they are exported overseas, and I think someone suggested that in one of my comments. They do them up and they send them off to a third world country somewhere, so it was obviously cheap enough for them to do it, and I suspect that's what all the other guys wanted it for as well. So hopefully then she hasn't gone to the scrapyard. She'll live another life somewhere else on the planet. So we managed to extract the van from the clutches of my yard. It looks pretty reasonable there. I believe it's technically illegal to have an unregistered car parked on essentially what is the roadway, even though it's just a nature strip. I have talked to the neighbours, they're fine for it to be there for the moment. Hopefully a family of delinquents don't move in. I'm going to throw it on Facebook today. Hopefully we get some bites. Now our yard, or our rear lane, is almost a runway. Look at that. We got to land a small plane here. And it's all really organised. All this right hand side is pressing steel, and it looks like we might be able to get a few loads of that to Melbourne. All this other side is basically empty drums, a bit more pressing steel, some aluminium and some air conditioners. They're all pretty much organised to load up and go. So we've made it down to the end. We can now start accessing the shipping container. I'll have to trim that tree back a bit more. I have a mate of mine's coming to get the lining boards. So thanks, Dean. Hopefully you can make use of them. They were certainly too good to go for for firewood. So yeah, even though it's rather jumbled just here, I've been moving stuff around to access various things. So we should start making some pretty good progress. I'll message the firewood guy and he can come and clean up now that we can get a trailer down here. And I'll move these other few things so that we can actually open the container. So thanks once again for coming along, guys. Hope you've enjoyed this episode. It's been kind of cool to get that old van out again. But it does prompt me to maybe wash my good cars whilst I'm still driving them so that I can enjoy it rather than going through all that pain just to get rid of it, basically. Next episode will either be another scrap run, which I'm about to start loading up now, or another episode of the Great Cleanup in which I'll take you inside and show you that even though I'm starting to make pretty good progress on the yard and everyone's saying, yeah, go Chris, you can do it, there's a lot of stuff inside that has to be dealt with. I did spend a fair bit of time in there yesterday because it was raining. It's supposed to rain again in a couple more days. Every evening we're back here and we're moving a few cabinets around and trying to get rid of stuff. The shop will be open over the weekend at pretty much everything half price. So next episode, I'll take you through the house and the storerooms and show you what's in there and show you how the shop's looking at the moment. Thanks for watching. See you then.